in the past you put a price increase in and the distributor can say no, they're not going to be able to say no,
No.
because if they do, I mean, it's one of those things where you kind of go, all right, okay, well, I'll give you 90 days. I don't know that 90 days is going to be able to be given to distribution and to grocery. And I think that we're going to see that more and more in 2025. We're already seeing it now.
Mm,
And I talked to distribution partners who were like, Anne, what the hell is going on?
mm,
And I think it's going to be just a whole period of adjusting, getting comfortable, adjusting, getting comfortable or staying uncomfortable, um, over and over and over again next year.
Folks, following on from the success of Map It Forward's online mastermind groups in 2024, we'll be opening up 3 groups again in January 2025 for new participants. 2 of the groups, Sell More Coffee and Grow Your Coffee Business, will be offered again for people who already have businesses and want to expand their business in a supportive environment during these volatile times in the coffee industry. A new group called Start a Cafe or Roastery will be offered for the first time. This is for people who want to start a cafe or roastery in 2025 or are considering opening a coffee business one day in the future. Groups start the week commencing January 13th and prices start at $175 per month for 3 months. These mastermind groups have been a game changer for participants in 2024. So whether you're a coffee roaster, producer, cafe owner, or any other kind of business owner in the coffee industry, or you're hoping to be one in the future, head to mapitforward.coffee/group coaching to secure your spot by paying for the first month in advance or pay the full 3 months up front and get an 11% discount. Spots are limited, so head to our website or click the link in the description and sign up today. Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro by Map It Forward, friends. I'm your host, Lee Safar, and this is episode 2 of a 5-part series with Anne, the CEO of Metropolis Coffee Company. We are talking about the reality of running a medium-sized business, the same as what Metropolis is in 2024. And in the last episode, we talked about how 2024 is different from all the other years. Metropolis has been in business for 21 years. And 2024 has been a definitive year for many, many businesses, no matter how long they've been in business in coffee. In this episode, we're going to talk about what role does change play when things get interesting. And by interesting, I mean volatile in an industry. And where I'd love to start this episode is at the tagline for Metropolis Coffee. The tagline for Metropolis is great coffee for everyone. Has that always been the business's tagline?
It's as long as I know, yes,
Okay.
for sure. And it was a phrase that Tony coined years ago. That has it's been so funny to see the debates between Tony and his dad Jeff about what that meant, especially years ago before we really kind of fleshed it out. But it always felt very organic and, germane to who we are as a company.
Mm,
But essentially, and my director of sales, Sam, is better at kind of going through this than I am, but what we mean by it is that the coffee that we provide, that we manufacture here in Chicago has to benefit all the hands that touch it, from the producer, from the folks that work on the producer's farm, from our brokers or importers, to us, to our wholesale customers, and then to the people that end up drinking it out of the cup. It has to benefit everybody along the supply chain. And we work, no company's perfect, but we work really hard to make that so. And it really is at the root of everything that we do. And it informs our core values as a company as well.
It's really interesting because I attach my own bias onto that statement
Yeah.
and thought by everybody you meant the consumer.
No. Yeah, we really work to flesh that out. Like, what do we mean by this if we're going to keep saying
Right.
it?
So that's really interesting to hear that. I feel like when we talk about 2024 being a line in the sand,
Mhm.
I feel that this is a year that everybody needs to reassess their business fundamentals. And at Mapper Forward, we define the business fundamentals as your vision, your mission, and your values. And a lot of people who have made statements like, what I thought you meant, great coffee for everyone was. A lot of people have statements like that. You know, affordable coffee for everybody is another one that I see around everywhere.
Mhm.
You know, a coffee access to
It sounds
everybody.
really generic, right?
It's not. The thing is, great coffee for everyone can be interpreted in many different ways.
Right. But you're bringing your own
And I
heavy.
inserted
Yeah.
my own bias onto what that meant, which is why I wanted to ask you about it, because I one thing that I'm thinking about as somebody who advises a lot of businesses is what is the opportunity that this presents businesses moving
Mhm.
forward? And what I think is it presents businesses with the real life opportunity to reassess.
Mhm.
If there's ever been a time to make changes or reimagine your vision for the business, this is the time.
Yeah. It's so true, and it's just having, digging into our slogan or really our trademark with this has been a big part of what's made us better. For the first time ever this year, we started putting together an ESG initiative. Our director of compliance, Brandon, he's phenomenal. He works really hard at that. Really weeding out from our ownership and our executive team what's important to them, and
Mm,
then listening to we got our SQF last year, and getting the traceability going and really seeing where we're getting coffee from and examining it in a different way. It's not convenient to do that. It's hard to do that. To reevaluate our relationships and to really put our money where our mouth is. I mean, it's been a bit of a dream of mine to be able to dig in and really weed out what it is that we're doing here. But it's also painful. And you really have to get honest with yourself and say, I'm not good at this right now. We're not good in this part of our company.
mm,
This is not necessarily something I'm proud of. We're going to work harder on it. Um, and it's always a work in progress. And you have to live in that space and be comfortable in that space and be comfortable with criticism. We sell and we roast and sell a lot of fair trade coffee. And there's a lot of people that will hear that and roll their eyes. We really legitimately feel like it's the best we can do right now.
mm. And I challenge anybody who thinks that they're doing everything perfectly. And I mean, nobody is.
No.
Nobody is. If you were, you would not be able to survive in this industry. The people who are doing it the best they possibly can are barely fucking surviving.
Yeah. Yes. It's true.
Everybody's cutting corners somewhere. It's like, how can I do the best that I can just to keep the business alive? And I feel like governance around the world is really trying to find every reason possible to put small business out of business.
It's so true. Yeah. The odds are stacked against small businesses. I mean, in every way.
And you
and
can't
and
not take take shortcuts as
yeah,
bad as they are.
yeah.
Everybody's doing it.
And we don't have, a ton of money to throw at every problem. So it really is us in the trenches trying to figure stuff out day to day. And again, just trying to do the best we can. And to tremendous criticism.
So let's talk about that criticism because you have been receiving some criticism online, and it's up to you how much you want to talk about it and how specific you want to get about it. But people seem to be taking digs without having all the information.
Mhm. Yeah. Specifically, large manufacturers, in the United States that have, I would say, their own kind of points of view, but also have baked in business that's doing very well and performing very well with large purchasing power. Um, that feel that specialty coffee companies like Metropolis and the thousands of others are finally getting their due, essentially, which
Mm,
is a bad one. That we're kind of paying the piper now, and it's not so. I mean, I started at a coffee company called Renoco back in 2015,
mhm,
and it's a huge coffee manufacturer, great company, but I know what those margins look like or looked like, and
mm,
it was it was significant. They commercial and commodity coffee producers make a lot of money. Their profits are much higher, and then coming into, specialty coffee, I can tell you that they've never been great. It's been
Mm.
very hard and I know this firsthand from talking to, owners and CEOs of specialty coffee companies across the United States. I can only really speak to the United States. That margins have always been thin, and nobody's getting rich in specialty coffee except, those that sold to certain, large German conglomerates back in the aughts.
I like you, lady. I like
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. So with the exception of those very fortunate few, the rest of us are still in the trenches. So while, as you asked me before, how do we feel? Is this an oh fuck moment or,
Mm.
good? It's really both. We knew that this had to happen. We just wish we had been a little bit better prepared, right? Or
Could you have been
everybody.
though?
No, I don't think so. And I have to tell myself that because if I could have been, it would mean that I'm not doing my job, and like my job is like also my hobby. Like it's the
Mm.
thing I like to do the most. I feel like I haven't worked a day in 5 years,
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
I put everything I've got into it, and it would mean that I'm just like not good enough, right? To do this. But I don't see anybody else that's better prepared either. So I have to believe that, this is just how it was supposed to play out. Um, and here we are.
And this moment seems to be even harder for the medium-sized businesses than it is for the corporations or the little guys.
Mhm.
The there's something to be said for, building a great business, and growth is expensive. And a lot of people don't quite understand how expensive it is to grow a business.
Mhm.
But when you're growing a business and it's moving in a moment like 2024, it's a come to Jesus moment when that happens.
Mhm.
And it really surprises me that people who have built things and failed and know what that feels like can aim at businesses who are also trying to do the right thing as well.
Mhm.
Like it's first of all, it's shitty behavior.
Yes.
I expect like I'm not surprised when I hear that kind of behavior from people who are keyboard warriors that have never built anything.
Right. You expect it from them. You don't expect it
I
from
don't
people
expect
that you admire,
Well, I
you
don't
know?
expect it from people who know what the pain feels like of building something,
Mhm.
especially when you're somebody who can come out and say, this has been really, really hard.
Yeah, and it's kind of like the same thing as if you say you win, like here in the United States, they they won the election, but they're still like, teasing the people that lost or something. It's like it's just bad sportsmanship in a way, but it's also just kind of gross. It's kind of like this haughtiness about, I've done things somehow the right way, and
Mm.
it's also got to be a fundamental lack of information about how specialty coffee companies, small and medium sized ones, run. Because I think there's this idea that because we have beautiful things, like Metropolis's facility is a beautiful facility.
Nice.
We have lovely artwork from local artists. We have, nice things, right? But these took a really long time to curate, and they were very thoughtfully done because we didn't have a lot of money. And so I think it's easy to see those things and see how beautiful our concepts are and go, these people have just got money to burn, right? And I think a lot of the companies that we work with feel the same way. And I thought that, I thought that before coming in and running a specialty coffee company myself. They look opulent. They look very, um, tailored and lovely, and that art and specialty coffee intersect in so many ways. So I think it's easy to assume certain things that are just not true.
And it's just poor sportsmanship to take aim at another company that you know isn't lying, cheating, or stealing to get the
Yeah.
success that they want. That's the part of it that really rubs me the wrong way. Because
Right,
there are
right.
enough businesses out there that are lying, cheating, and stealing and tricking
Mhm,
you into thinking that they're doing fantastically when they're being
mhm.
funded by Walmart.
Right. Yeah. No, it's true. It's true. I mean, uh, and even if they are working with large, retailers or whoever, it's like, I don't know the ins and outs of that deal, right? I don't know exactly how what it is that you're doing or what the value add is that you're bringing to your the farmers and the producers that you work with, right? And I'm
Mm.
not going to speak to that because I don't know. And I just sometimes it'd be nice to feel like, as I said in my post, like, certainly so many of you feel the same way that I do right now.
And I mean, that's why you got such a large response, is because
Mhm,
so many people are feeling all of those things.
mhm,
If we continue to talk about the role that change is going to play in this moment,
mhm,
what do you think 2025, let me say it this way. How do you think 2024 is going to change 2025
mhm,
compared to the 2025 most people thought they were going to have before they
mhm.
experienced this last couple of weeks?
Yeah. I think that we thought that so, I think that we thought that coffee for specialties in particular, and I don't know how, all of the listeners, of course, everybody buys differently.
Hmm.
I think that we thought that we would have a marginal increase in 2025, that we had planned for. Most of us are doing our planning now. If it's not too last minute, but we're almost there.
Hmm.
I think that what we're going to see is green coffee costs closer to $5 a pound next year. We're going to start to see it, and it's going to start to be the norm. And I think in terms of planning, what a lot of coffee companies are going to have to do is either really cut down on their OPEX to
Hmm.
make room for that additional 10 to 15% in COGS, or they're going to have to, and part of that will have to be laying off people, really subduing expectations and performas for wholesale business, um, cutting promotions in areas like grocery. And honestly, whenever, in the past you put a price increase in and the distributor can say no, they're not going to be able to say no.
No.
Because if they do, I mean, it's one of those things where you kind of go, all right, okay, well, I'll give you 90 days. I don't know that 90 days is going to be able to be given to distribution and to grocery. And I think that we're going to see that more and more in 2025. We're already seeing it now.
Mm,
And I talked to distribution partners who were like, Anne, what the hell is going on?
mm.
And I think it's going to be just a whole period of adjusting, getting comfortable, adjusting, getting comfortable, or staying uncomfortable, um, over and over and over again next year. That's all I can until we reach kind of that new normal, which is going to be around $5 a pound green.
You know what? You make me, I hadn't thought about this before, but
Mhm.
hearing you talk, it makes me think about the good old chestnut, coffee as a loss leader.
Yeah.
So many people do it,
Such a
particularly
bummer.
grocery stores, right?
Mhm.
Uh, it, you hear a lot of distributors that will take the hit on coffee, whether it's in the bag or in the cup, because it brings people in.
Mhm.
Tell me how that's going to change because of how interesting this time is.
Well, I mean, okay, they can accept less on coffee, than they normally would, right? Um, a lot of grocery stores, they expect 35 to 40%. And keep in mind, by the time a specialty coffee roaster is selling it in through distribution, they're having to make room for like 110% margin on top of their costs. It's pretty wild.
The fuck?
Um, I know it's pretty crazy. Well, I should say markup. So probably closer to like a 60 or 70% gross profit margin. But it's very stressful. So I don't I while I get the concept of a loss leader and maybe they're taking less, I think that they're either going to have to take less or it's going to have to get pushed through to the consumer. I mean, specialty coffee is already so much more expensive than commercial coffee on the shelf, as you
Mm,
see. I mean, a
mm,
commercial, you can see it for $5 a 12-ounce bag. And then you see something sitting next to it that's the same size that's 15 or
mm.
$16. I think we're gonna have to break that threshold. Um, and I see that happening next year for sure. I just don't see how it couldn't happen. I don't see grocery especially the big grocery stores. I mean, they might, again, cut on their margin, but uh I don't see them not passing it through.
No chance. I mean,
Mm,
the biggest hit through this is going to be the cheap coffee. That that
mm,
that that whole category. My mother was telling me, yes, my mother drinks instant coffee, um, and my whole family, like, you guys think that you're better than us in specialty, blah blah blah, whatever. Get over it. My mother was telling me that her can of Moccona coffee
mhm.
instant went from $16 to $32 in one go.
Wow. That's wild.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
And this is what starts getting me very intrigued about 2025,
Mhm.
because the consumer, it's not necessarily that the specialty consumer is the one that's going to be the hardest, or the consumer that has to make the biggest changes here, because the
Mhm.
specialty consumer already understands that the value proposition of specialty is supposed to be that it's better quality and it's an artisan thing, blah blah blah. It's the consumers who are buying what is supposed to be the affordable category of coffee. They're the ones who are going to be they're going to be having their oh fuck moment.
Right. I don't think people will stop drinking coffee because of that, but I do think it's gonna change a lot of things, and in that way, I'm looking forward to seeing what these big commercial roasters do. Because, in some ways I really have admired what they've done for coffee. They put
Hmm.
it on the shelf for the first time in the United States. It's like these are the kind of the great great grandfathers of what we do today.
Yep.
But I'm very curious to see how they're going to market to their customers and how they're going to really discuss this, because a lot of them have made their whole marketing premise on the farmer. It's
Mm.
their logo. They have Fields of Columbia in the background. Like, let's really talk about this, right? I mean, what are they going to do? It's a different product, and we've always been able to say, hey, I you love your Folgers, that's great. In
Yeah.
distribution, for example, we'll say, and good for you, and we totally get it, but we're not selling the same product,
No.
right? Maybe there's gonna feel like more commonality. Maybe and that might be a
Yeah.
good thing.
Yeah, it comes closer together. Perhaps people are going to buy more specialty because they're like, "Well, I'm paying this much now. Maybe I may as well just go start buying the other bougie fancy coffee and have
Right.
the cafe experience."
And once you're hooked, you're hooked. There's no
Hell
going
yeah.
back.
No,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. Once you've made the jump, you can't drink
Yeah.
that other stuff ever
My
again.
my 75-year-old dad made the jump when I got into this industry, and, like, they've become such coffee snobs. It's
And now
wild.
he's making you buy his coffee because he can't afford it.
Right, right.
I
Exactly.
love it. Okay, next episode, what happens when things don't go to plan? And this is one, folks, where like all the leaders out there will be able to have this conversation with you. And you should ask the leaders around you how they adapt when things don't go to plan. So join us for the next episode. Peace, love, and peanut butter. Have an amazing rest of your day. I really hope you enjoyed this episode, friends. Please don't forget to show us some love by subscribing, liking, commenting, and most of all, sharing this podcast with your friends. Check the show notes for links, including our sponsors and our Patreon. And stay tuned for more great conversations on the Daily Coffee Pro by Map It Forward.